Chapter 4. The king ordered that Princess Banya be taken immediately to the palace hospital to be treated, and the foods eaten by Princess Banya was being examined. My princess was poisoned. Hurry up and give her some medicine. Queen Cleopatra commanded the palace physician with a worried voice. Your Majesty, she will be able to recover in a few hours because the poison she took is not deadly, but it also has bad side effects if not cured right away, said the palace physician as he examined the princess's eyes and mouth. Can you leave us to inform the king of the princess's condition? The queen's tone pleaded with the palace physician while relentlessly wiping the princess's forehead. Your Majesty, your request will be granted, said the physician as he wiped his hands and hurried out. Queen Cleopatra was upset because the king did not even follow the princess to the palace hospital, unlike what had happened to Princess Purity, that the king was very much quick to respond and was so angry like a hungry lion, and that made her very angry because the king obviously favored someone. My princess, are you okay? Your acting is very good, but I noticed that the dear king doesn't even seem to care about you, Queen Cleopatra sadly told Princess Banya as she rolled her eyes inside the hospital. That's why I'm even more jealous of Princess Purity, because she's obviously the king's favorite, Princess Banya replied to her queen mother while smirking. That's why I prefer to lose that cursed princess so that you have no rival in the love and attention of your king father, said Queen Cleopatra as she kissed Princess Banya on her forehead, and they both stared at each other and laughed. Your Majesty, I put poison in my food because I knew the king will investigate it, said Princess Banya smiling. You're really brilliant because we successfully executed our plan, Queen Cleopatra said as she smiled and peeked out the window to make sure the palace physician had not returned. I know at this time that my king father has already investigated about the incident. Princess Banya laughed mischievously, as well as her queen mother, who was also pleased with their acting skills. Heidi will be held accountable. I want him out of our sight and he will be punished for what he did, said Queen Cleopatra with traces of joy in her eyes. Heidi's Pav. Heidi was born and raised in Gazoo Kingdom. His father was the chef in the kingdom of Gazoo, and he was also taught by his father in his cooking skills. King Zupir and the king of Gazoo were close friends, so he was recommended by the king of Gazoo to work as chef in the kingdom of Zuan. He married a slave and they were blessed with 3 children. According to Heidi, the palace was peaceful and tranquil then, but its trend has changed since the arrival of Queen Cleopatra. While Heidi was meditating inside the kitchen, Queen Cleopatra suddenly appeared wearing a blue gown, and she paired it with her pure gold crown that shone and dazzled on her head. Heidi, why did you poison Princess Banya? Said Queen Cleopatra as she frowned at everyone in the kitchen who was staring at her. Your Majesty, I haven't poisoned the princess. I've been in this job for a long time and I don't have any bad record like you accused me, Heidi replied nervously. I'll make sure that you will be punished by the king, and I will recommend him to hang you, and you will surely die if you will not confess your sin, said the queen arrogantly as she pointed her finger to Heidi. Your Majesty, believe me, I didn't poison the princess. Heidi shrugged as he didn't know how to defend himself against the queen's accusations. Suddenly groups of soldiers arrived and picked up Heidi to be imprisoned. Confess your sin because the king will surely hang you if you lie. The queen ordered the soldiers to drag Heidi to be placed inside the dungeon. The king called a gathering of all the palace staff to inform everyone of his decision. Heidi was brought before the king to be questioned about the incident. Heidi, tell me the truth. Why did you poison the 2 princesses? Said the king, whose eyes looked like a tiger. Your Majesty, please forgive me for my sins, Heidi said, trembling and anxious. Saved it. If not for the king of Gazoo, I probably would have fed you to the lions, said the king angrily. Get out of the palace, take your whole family with you, and don't show up again. You are a traitor. The king was furious and he shot Heidi an evil look. The king evicted Heidi and his family, and the palace went smoothly, and 2 weeks later the long-awaited 18th birthday of Princess Purity came, inviting all the staff to the palace because it was the most pompous and a big celebration. The princess was very stunning and charming in her white gown like the goddess of the night. Everyone was drinking, including the soldiers of the palace, dancing and shouting for joy. "Princess Purity, happy birthday!" The staff shouted. "Happy birthday! Happy birthday!" shouted the soldiers in the palace. "Let us all rejoice because this is the happiest day of my dear Princess Purity." The king happily waved his hands while standing on the stage. "Thank you so much to everyone who greeted me," said the princess while also standing on the stage. Her white gown was even more attractive as it matched the stage decoration. The stage has a design of different colors of flowers, and on each side of it is decorated with white roses. "Long live Princess Purity!" the palace staff shouted while applauding with glee. It was midnight and they were all drunk, including the king. The other staff had already left. The others continued their fun, and Freya suggested to Princess Purity that they also leave because the king and queens had already left. As they were walking, they noticed something like a commotion of a strong wind, and when they looked back there were groups of men who seemed to be flying with sharp swords. Their faces were covered with black cloth and they fought the palace soldiers, and in just few minutes, all the palace soldiers were exhausted and they were strangled in the neck. They were trembling with fear and being shocked for what they witnessed. 2 men approached them and grabbed Princess Purity and tied her hands, and she was carried away by the men. "Princess Purity! Princess Purity!" Freya shouted loudly in her raspy voice.